All right. Happy Saturday, hackers. Welcome to Saturday Hacker Day. My name is Taggart. Um, Looks like our stream health is doing a whole lot better than it has been in recent days. So this is a nice mahogany desk on here, so hopefully knocking on it helps us out. On this channel, we do cybersecurity, we do programming, we do CTFs, and on Saturdays, we go blue team. Really exciting stuff in store for us today, so looking forward to what we've got going on. But first, as always on Saturdays, we do a quick recap of this week in cyber news. Up first, we have CVE 2021-21985. If you've been anywhere near the defense component of an IT organization in the last week, you are aware of VMware's vCenter latest 0-day. This thing scored a 9.8 for its CVSS score. It's about as bad as it gets. Unauthenticated remote code execution, my favorite. And this is kind of in the same family of vulnerabilities that we've seen from Pulse Secure. We've seen it from Citrix about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, I guess. And you would think so. For those of you who aren't familiar, vCenter or vSphere, right? This is a VMware product that manages your virtual machines. It's essentially a hypervisor, and you might think, well, who connects that directly to the internet? Turns out a lot of people. At the last Shodan report I saw, somewhere around 5,700 devices that were identifying themselves as vCenter servers, and so that's what the bad guys would call a target-rich environment. So there is a patch and a workaround available, although getting these systems patched before there is an active attack is really difficult. And just yesterday, I believe, maybe the day before, I believe yesterday though, we had not only proof of concept code released that demonstrated that the vulnerability was exploitable, we also saw a massive attack campaign from threat actors. So we saw that this exploit was actually being exploited in the wild. So we have a 0-day in the truest sense. So long story short, patch your stuff if you can. If not, get this stuff off the internet. You should not have hypervisors of any sort, but certainly vCenter servers connected raw to the internet. A quick note on the Colonial Pipeline situation, where we just got a little bit of extra news, potentially an entry vector, and it appears as though, according to the investigation and stories from Bleeping Computer, that the initial entry of the threat actors into the environment, the dark side actors, was through a compromised password for the VPN that Colonial was using. A couple things about this. One, in order to compromise a password, maybe it was a phishing attack, maybe it was a password that was too weak. I'm not sure if we know that just yet. But in addition to a compromised password, in order for that attack vector to have worked, the VPN had to have been without a second factor for authentication. And that is absolutely a best practice, right? In order to log on to your company's VPN, you should require a username, a password, and a second factor of authentication, whether that's using, an authenticator application or some sort of other token, or if you're really going next level, a smart card or some sort of physical token that you possess that allows you access to the environment. Without that, you're at the mercy of the password being breached, and that seems to be exactly what happened here. So another good object lesson in making sure that we have multi-factor authentication for all entry points into an environment. The last bit of cyber news that I wanted to talk about a little bit today is kind of an editorial. I try to steer away from this stuff as much as I can, just giving the best information as much as I can, but I'm going to move into the opinion side here for a little bit. And that's because we have some legislation and some activities coming from the United States federal government that I think are well-intentioned, right? We have some moves from the Biden administration that are trying to treat ransomware much more seriously, which absolutely should be taking place, right? Ransomware is clearly affecting critical infrastructure. Now, I'm a little salty that it took, hot dogs and oil for this to become a concern for the federal government, whereas patients in hospitals, that didn't really meet the bar. Nevertheless, it's important that we take ransomware much more seriously as a national security issue. That being said, in the last couple of days, I've seen a lot of opinions from respected people in the cybersecurity industry refer to ransomware actors as terrorists and that we should, in one case, quote, hunt them down like the animals they are, unquote. It is true that ransomware actors, whether they're politically motivated or not, can be considered terrorists because of what they do to the psyche of the people who rely on cyber systems in the United States and elsewhere. Whether they're financially motivated or not really doesn't matter. The end impact is that we lose trust in our systems and we don't know when the next attack is going to occur, which creates a destabilization in markets and in our everyday lives. And at the end of the day, that is the original definition of what a terrorist activity is. That may be the case. Nevertheless, falling back on our old instincts from the global war on terror and other military operations in order to eradicate terrorism, I think, is the absolute wrong move to combat this threat. Even if military options were a viable, internationally accepted vector here, we know that tactically as well as morally, it just doesn't work. From a tactical standpoint, we know that activities like drone strikes and even surgical ground operations have ended up creating more sympathy in the regions where we've executed these attacks for terrorist ideologies than they have combated terrorist ideologies. So if we were to, and let's think about where these threat actors are coming from, right? We're talking about former Soviet bloc nations, right? We're talking about potentially China. If we were to execute attacks in those kinds of regions, kinetic attacks in those kinds of regions, what kind of response do you imagine we would be precipitating from those nation states that may or may not be funding that activity, to say nothing of North Korea? Do you think that they take that lying down? Do you think that they return with a proportional response? It's a tactically poor move, and we have other ways that we can do better. For example, improving our defenses, providing federal funding to improve cybersecurity defenses in ways that we haven't done before, changing the way that the military is deployed, especially the cyber forces, in order to defend critical infrastructure. These are all options on the table that are not launching a Hellfire missile at a village. And I fully endorse those kinds of approaches rather than the, again, quote, hunting down terrorists like the animals they are. First of all, if you use that as part of your argument, you should be disqualified from any argument moving forward, because dehumanizing an enemy is the absolute worst thing to do if you actually want to achieve victory in any kind of conflict. That kind of work only serves to perpetuate conflict. All right, stepping down from the soapbox now, we'll move on to the rest of the material for today. So today we're jumping into the Security Operations Center with LetsDefend or LetsDefend.io. If you haven't seen LetsDefend, I really, really love this service. It's a simulator for a SOC. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to work on some tickets, and they also have some smaller lessons that we're going to play with a little bit. I did a review of the full version today. What I'll be doing is the free version, or I did a review previously for the paid version, which is $25 a month. But today I'll be using the free version. So everything that you see working on this stream, you can jump in and participate with as well. So let's get started. Let's get the music back going. There we go. Let's switch it up a little bit. Keep it nice and chill today. Alrighty. So here we are in LetsDefend.io. I've decided that I wanted to start with a quick defer. So I've grabbed this infection with Cobalt Strike. And we have it's the password stealer. And we have a packet capture that I've downloaded that we're going to play with. Here is the packet capture. And the first thing I'm going to do with it, you know, I can open it in Wireshark certainly. But the other place where I really want to go with packet captures is use, and I can't believe I always lose this thing, is Network Miner. How do I always lose this file? It seems like it disappears from my system. Maybe it does. That's bizarre. Well, let me go grab it then. Good object lesson. The Network Miner is another tool that you can use to analyze packet captures. There's a free edition, and then there's an unbelievably expensive $900 paid edition, which I will not be using. So we'll go ahead and download this. Really don't know why. Oh wait, it's already there. What the... Lesai. Okay. Let's go grab it. Very confusing why that wasn't there, but now we have it. And let's open up Network Miner with that PCAP. So we're going to go to Let's Defend. Here it is. So what I love about Network Miner... Oh, I got to change the subject, Chiron. Just seeing that. Like, we're not doing Hack the Box today. All right, I can live with that. So what's cool about Network Miner is rather than just reading the raw packets, which it can, you can do, but that's a little bit easier to do in Wireshark, it'll actually break down the packets and sort of reconstruct the information into more usable artifacts. So you can see already I have a whole bunch of hosts, right? And I can sort hosts on different values. I have IP address, sent packets, received packets, sent bytes, received bytes. And hey, Socialist, good to see you. The stream's looking a little healthier today. And it'll also do great stuff like resolving the domain for me. So that's really, really helpful. This .ru jumps out at me as something a little bit concerning. Obviously, there's a lot in this PCAP that we can take a look at. So we might want to look at some other components to sort of filter this down. This will also break out files for me. So if I see these .phps, .htmls, these look a little bit concerning, right? Anything that's PHP, I might think that there's a dropper there if I have reason to be concerned. A lot of certificates, that's less concerning. But yeah, forum.php, .html, things like that, I might be a little bit concerned with. These .bins, I don't know what's up with that. This obviously looks evil, this exe. That's concerning. It'll show images. That's kind of cool. It also will break out credentials if it finds credentials. So sure enough, you can see that there's NTLMs here, and it looks like there may have been a responder or something like that. This actually looks legitimate. Excuse me. This is NTLM stuff going to something in the network, right? But nevertheless, this is kind of cool that that Network Miner will show you the NTLM hashes that it can extract from packet capture. Pretty cool. And then, of course, DNS stuff. as well as parameters, which may be of use. I actually love this, that it has a JAW signature for things. That's pretty cool. All right, so let's take a look at the questions that are being asked of us for this particular exercise. Investigate the PCAP file. What is one of the popular document signing services used by the attacker to deliver the malware? All right. Well, the easiest way to look at that would be in the DNS, right? Let's see what we're looking at here, the DNS query. I'd be looking for something like DocuSign, and sure enough, there's DocuSign right here. DocuSign. Great. What is the full URL used by the attacker to create the malicious document? So we're going to be looking for something in DocuSign here, I think. We'll keep poking at this and see what we see. These files are all, I don't see anything. I think there might be a PDF in here. No PDFs. Interesting. Let's look for... Let's clear the filter. Let's look for a DocuSign. Okay, so these all appear to be just certs. So we're not going to find it there. Let's see what else we might be able to figure out here. Now, these are timestamps, which we can use to sort, so we can kind of see what the story is by our timestamp. Right, so starting here, we have this swell-headed PHP. And by the way, if I right-click on any of these, I can open the file. In this case, I would open it in VS Code, so I could read the PHP. Hey, Pandemic Avocado, good to see you. All right, this doesn't look particularly weird, but it may be just part of something else. This one is much larger, notice, even though it has the same... No. Network miner. How dare you? There we go. Okay, so that looks evil, right? Whenever we see encoded bytes like that, that's a little bit messed up. So we have all of these bytes, and then what do we do with them? Let's just go to the end here. Let byte numbers, so byte array. So it's a new blob. We save it to this .doc. And then we do .docusign. Hark Dragon, good morning. Good to see you, friend. I see that my frame rate is plummeting. I apologize for that. Yep, as I mentioned last night, we now have a new Discord, especially because I'm going to be launching a new intensive course this summer for Linux. an intro to Linux. So if you wanted to get some personalized support for that, but it's also for anybody who's just learning tech skills. I'm trying to create a place that's, excuse me, welcoming and inclusive. Heart, no, not buffer overflow, although I understand why you would say so from the byte array. I'm using a blue team site called LetsDefend.io, and this is a malware analysis of a packet capture. And we're trying to see what was going on here. This appears to be maybe a password stealer. That's right, Gromit, we're doing Hack Summer again. Last summer we did Python. This year we're going to do Linux, starting from basic command line stuff all the way up to Docker. And the way I think we're going to do it is that it's going to be a kind of week-long intensive, so that we'll do a stream every day, and then there will be a VM that has challenges and quizzes inside of it. And so you participate in the you can participate both on the live stream, ask questions, things like that. You'll have the Discord to ask questions, but then the VM will be kind of the assessment, as it were. So you'll have flags to achieve, as well as kind of challenges to set the state of the VM, and then tests that will run to make sure that you set the state of the server the way that it's expected, which will also provide the flag for the next level. Which has been a real trip putting together. Okay, so we have this byte array, right? And it's saving this byte array as this doc. And that looks, evil. And I don't really want to extract that because it's obviously going to be problematic. And then, so here's the thing. It creates this byte array, right? And then it redirects you to DocuSign. So it makes it look like you were a DocuSign. Now, let's see what the question is here. The question is, was the full URL used by the attacker to create the malicious document? Probably, we actually want to look at this in we actually want to look at this in Wireshark. At this point, because we're talking about, I want to get the HTTP request. So we'll fire this open in Wireshark. And let's see if we can use Network Miner, though, to figure out exactly where we're going. So let's look for host name. And can I filter this at all? I can't filter the hosts. But this appears to be our DocuSign source. So I'm going to use that IP address. In our filter for Wireshark. Okay. So unfortunately, this is all HTTPS, so it's going to be encrypted. Let's just walk through some TCP streams and see if we can find something that's readable for us here. All right, there we go. This looks gross. And that's from DigiCert. Okay, this might be closer. So we have this swellheadedphp.com. So this actually seems like what we're dealing with here. Yeah, I think this is our evil, because this is what actually was the original deliverer. Oh, I gotta put it in curlies, right? Okay, that was correct. On the malicious website from the previous question, what kind of encoding technique is used by the attacker to create the malicious document? Well, let's go back to that VS Code and see. So, encoding. This is our content type, really. When we're talking about encoding, are we talking about byte encoding? Because we're looking at, I mean, what's this, base 64? Yes, it is base 64. And if we wanted to, we can take that, the base 64 byte array. It's gigantic, so I'm not going to. But we could take it and you know, decode it and see what the actual thing is. But of course, we're going to leave that alone. So what is the name of the malicious document opened by the user? Well, it actually tells us right here that the document is going to be created like this. I think it's cool how it reloads every time I enter something. What malware family does this malicious file belong to? Well, not that I particularly want to... Well, let's see. So we can kind of grab it, right? What we would do is run that swellheaded.php. Hey, Hark, thank you so much for the sub. Really appreciate that, friend. So I can do a very stupid, right, and make this download, which we'll do just for the sake of this, but I'm not going to... Brave actually blocked it for me, so I can't even get it. The only thing I can do is discard it. That's very funny. I suspect that if I were to attempt to open this in like Edge, the same thing would happen. Yeah, Edge blocked it as well, which is good news, right? So what we'll try to do is submit just the HTML. We'll see if we can submit that file to VirusTotal and just see if it picks anything up. Oof, sorry about that. So Kaspersky picked it up. That's interesting. So, Hark, curl's not going to work because this whole thing is working in JavaScript, right? I have to have a browser render the JavaScript in order for this code to execute and the document to be created. So I can't use the normal command line tools. I could use like Puppeteer if I wanted, but I really don't feel like it. So, interesting. So Kaspersky flagged it, but it's not actually... Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in Kali so that I don't have to worry about it. Let me fire up my Kali machine. And Let me just do one of these here. Awesome. So I just want to save it, right? I just want to get it. We'll see if Brave kills it here too. No, Brave killed it there too. So annoying. But maybe Firefox won't? Okay, so interesting. So Firefox warned me about it, but it's still open. It still saved it for me. All right. All right, let's go to VirusTotal and throw that thing at it. It's gonna tank the... Boy, that took no time at all. So, wow. Evil. Now, malware family is kind of interesting because, like, depends on how it's defined, right? It says maybe Valeria. We see that a lot in these classifications. So that might be the answer. No, not Valeria. The thing with the way that malware families are described is that it's, you know, it really depends on... It's a vague question is basically what I'm trying to say. No hints? Or is it... Let me turn the shields off. For Brave can be a little aggressive sometimes. No hints. So is it a downloader? Is it a Trojan? I mean, it's a Word document. Maybe it's a maldoc. Is that what they're trying to say? This is kind of what I mean. Like, you don't know what exactly the what they mean when they say malware family. Nope. Cobalt Strike. This question blows. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the VMRay analysis report and see if that has something for us. Because they may have classified it, even though it's not listed here. There we go, Wasted Locker. So it's ransomware. Interesting. Oh, that might actually be what it is. We'll try ransomware first. Oh my god. Wasted Locker? Very funny. It's got macros, of course. Jacquard, maybe? Jacquard. This way, flash. If I can't get it here, I'm just gonna move on. This is a dumb question. Okay, forget it. And why is there nothing here? I guess we just don't get a hint. All right. Let's defend, buddy. After the user interacts with the malicious file, it runs malicious DLL on the system. What is the DLL run command? So for this, actually, we would want... yeah, let's try Trojan. We'll try one more. Okay, so actually, or no, I want to go to app.anyrun. And I think I have an account. I do. So I'm gonna upload the document, but I need to be in Kali to do that. Doc.any.run, and I want to run this thing, and we're gonna get the kind of the live. Close out of all this junk that I had opened for last night's Hack the Box. I apologize if you can hear some hammering in the background. My neighbors thought that today would be a cool day to have a yard sale. So. The realities of living in a city. Let's go down to... All right, so we're gonna upload this. It really doesn't really matter for this, so we'll run this task and see what happens. It should be able to pick up that it's a document and open it up. But we'll see what the Inquest Labs, while we're waiting for that, we'll see what the Inquest Labs report says. Macro Hunter, huh? So it's got run DLL, and then we don't know what the DLL name is, I don't think, from this just yet. Unless it's ket.t. Do you need when you use run DLL, do you need to have a DLL file extension, or will it just take anything? I don't know. Let's get out of here. What is the DLL run command? Is it just run DLL32.exe? Is that what they're asking for? No. We'll wait. Let's see what the analysis has to say. Okay. Executable content was dropped or overwritten. So it's a random.k. But did it do anything else? This is Visual Basic permission denied, so this didn't actually run. And it reads registry keys, which doesn't really matter. This is wild. So check this out. Whenever you see this, so this is kind of an interesting ransomware thing. Whenever you see it reading common language resources, often what's going on is it's checking to see if the Russian language pack or the Chinese language pack is installed, and if it's not, it'll um, buzz off. Which is why many times people will recommend that installing those language packs, which are gigantic, but installing those language packs can be sort of like a vaccination or an inoculation against ransomware. At least those that are motivated or coming from that part of the world. All right, this didn't really do the job for me here. I want to see if I can learn a little bit more about. So it's like run DLL32 and UED, which is .exe. So this is just obfuscation. Whatever the startup path is. Man, I was like, Night Ride died on me. So we have to kind of break this apart, basically. Run DLL32, options, default file path, WD startup path. Options, WD startup path. So it's going to be like, now let's see if this has like, this is a weird report. I don't hate it. It has a lot of cool stuff in it. But breaking down what it's actually doing is a little bit harder. Does Joe Sandbox have a like free submission? I don't think so. Maybe it does. No. Okay. Well, we could always do it in our own lab. But I think we're close here for this one. So basically the question is, what is the run? And so modified normal .m. Gromit, I read they analyzed the code from the dark side ransomware, and they think it's Russian because the code looks to avoid Russian and former Soviet language characters. Yeah, if you have that Cyrillic alphabet on there. That was also how, I want to say NotPetya was attributed. No, it was a different thing. Okay. So any run didn't really help us out here. Inquest. Can I submit to reversing labs? I don't think so. And this is why it's so nice to have your own machine for doing some of this stuff. Not that I particularly want to, but let's do it. All right, let me spin up my Flare VM here. And let me also spin up my Security Onion VM, because I want to be capturing the telemetry from it. So let's get those running. Now, can I copy from... That would be handy, right? If I could copy from... Oh my god. My Kali machine over to the Flare VM. I don't think that worked. But that's okay, because what I can do is take the HTML that did the generation, and I can definitely copy that over. Right? No? That's weird. Usually I don't have a problem with that. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, for some reason the RDP session wasn't configured correctly. Okay, so if we open this guy up, Harka Dragon, I am going to take your advice and try it in IE. Oh, so it freaks out because I can't hit the internet because it's not configured to hit the internet right now. But that's fine, I can fix that. So the way that I have my machine set up, it's set up for isolation, so I just set it up to be on the default switch for the moment, and that should give it internet connection. And then once... Oh, wait, no, I have the document. Well, then let me just bring it back into the isolation lab. So we have the document. That's cool. And let me just quickly ping to make sure that our security onion... Actually, not ping. That's dumb. Let me... go to onion. Ooh, that sucks. Maybe it didn't spin up. There we go. Woo! Thought I lost my my SOC lab for a second. But no, we're good. Okay. And let me just ping 10.0.1.2. Yep. Oh, that's this. Should be .1 then. Yep. Okay. So the onion's up. It's getting information, and let's run some evil. And we'll see what this thing does. And go away. And let's see. Let's go over to our Kibana instance here. Oh, that just sucks. It might take a second to load. So we're going to leave this alone for the moment. See if we can get back to it. Meanwhile, let's go back to our packet capture here. What is the C2 URL? Well, let's look in Network Miner for anything in the PCAP that seemed suspicious as a domain name. These are weird, these local domains, but these are probably not C2, right? These could be, depending if they were using a CDN for CloudFront, that could be. Do we see anything else that's particularly weird here? There's AWS. Let's go to hosts, and we're going to sort by received packets. Descending. So it looks like maybe it's gromber6.ru. Right, now we had this. This was kind of the delivery. This is where the malicious PHP page came from. But this may be our C2, especially given how much traffic. Well, not that much. Okay, I feel like that's, so gromber.ru, look at this get, it's sent a .bin. So that suggests me that it was dropping some stuff. So there's our command and control. So let's go get that gromber.ru. And let's go look at this in Wireshark. So we're going to copy this IP, and we're going to go over Wireshark, and we'll do IP.source. No. Dest equals like so. All right. Thank you so much for not encrypting your communication. Really appreciate that. Oh, look at that. We've got bins, we've got exes. Wonderful, wonderful. So let's follow this TCP stream and see what's up. Okay. So the question was, what is the C2 URL? All right, well, this thing downloads this binary. And then it sends some stuff over here. This may be our C2. Oh. So the dropper may be a different destination in the command and control. That's just Bing. So we're seeing, okay, that's ap.ipfi. This is, oh, I should say that. So that's a tell. If you ever see something calling out without you knowing what it is to ap.ipfi.org, it is something trying to get the public IP of the target, and that is very often something the command and control is going to do. So it's not a guarantee, because other like legitimate stuff does it too, but it's something that you should maybe be watching for in your environment. Here's what happens when you do it. If I do curl sp, yeah. I'll just get back my IP address, my public IP. And if I do it the same way that they have there, format equals XML. Oh, that's a fish thing. So I don't know why it didn't give it to me in XML, but I guess because there was nothing there. But that is how IPFI works. So command and control will be looking for that kind of thing to say, okay, what's the public IP? So after it has that, let's see, this 173.82.187.192. What's going on there? Let's go back into Network Miner and see if we can find that. Yeah, look at that. So this 173.180. So this is the second highest packets received, right? So that seems like this may be suspicious. And we can even look for files in that. So if I take that, so we're getting this .gif. What about our sessions? Yeah, I think this is our... Now let's try one more place, right? See if there's anything in here. So there's a get/dot.gif. And content length is 0 each of these times, which is kind of interesting. The content length here for the DRQU is not. Okay, but here it's 48 bytes. So I feel like the whole thing is going to be like http:// and then .gif. And no hints. All right. Let's try it without the .gif. Maybe I'm being too precise. Not usually something that people accuse me of. What if it's just the IP? They don't mean the URL, actually. Nope. Okay. I have officially lost my patience with this. If they're not going to give, like, I have obviously found, you know, the evil. Like, I'm on it. And this is kind of where I kind of fall off with stuff like this. Just because I can't answer your flag exactly this way. For blue team stuff, it's not, I don't know. Especially if you don't give me a little bit of prompting for exactly how you want the answer formatted. Not awesome. I really like Let's Defend, but this is not good instructional design. So, it's all right with you, fine, folks. I'm going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to stay on Let's Defend, but instead of doing this little PCAP challenge, we're going to move over to the kind of the main meat and potatoes of Let's Defend, which is the SOC simulator. Out of curiosity, did this thing ever come up? Oh, it did, thank God. Before we leave, let's see. Since I'm, you know, executing malware in my lab, let's see what happened. Let's go to Discover. Oh, you know what? The lab may not have been up quickly enough for this to work. Well, that's fine. We will try it some other time. So I'm gonna bring my flare machine back to its healthy checkpoint and just leave that run for a little bit to see if it gets better. All right, but the other thing that we're doing today is the SOC simulator, so let's go do that. So we start in monitoring. And the free channel for Let's Defend gives you, you know, a certain number of free alerts per month. And then they'll rotate out. You get unlimited if you're on the $25 per month plan. So we have a ransomware, we have a new scheduled task, we have a password stealer, we have multiple HTTP 500 response, we have a phishing URL, and another ransomware. Hey chat, do you have a preference as to which alert we take on? No preferences? Ransomware. All right, Gromit, you got it. Ransomware it is. Let's do this top one, this ransomware detected. So we're going to take ownership of the ticket, which is very, very much, that's what happens in the SOC, right? You get the ticket, you take ownership of it, and then you work the case. Now these buttons over here are like create case or close alert. Obviously, I'm not going to do that yet. Let's see what we have in terms of our... So this looks like endpoint data. We have a source host name, we have a file name, ab.exe, and we have a file hash. All right, finally, I can do, and we can download this stuff. Now I'm gonna, yeah. So it's an exe. So you know what? I'm gonna do this in Kali, actually. Because I don't want to mess with my host system. If I have to download stuff, which it looks like I do not want it on my host system. Now, could I do it in the Flare VM? I could. But I'm going to start on, this is just kind of my process. I will start when I'm doing malware analysis, and I think I'm going to be doing static analysis. I'm going to try to get away with doing it in Linux first, just because I have all my tools that I'm comfortable with there. And yeah, I could do WSL and Flare, but then I can move over into the Flare VM if I need to. So let's go get this investigation. Okay. So here we have a zip file of this exe. So I'm going to go grab this right now. And let me open up well, I have this, so I'm just going to tmux it up here. Unzip 0b. And the password is infected, which is pretty much always what the password is for malware. Okay. Now we have the file hash of ab.bin, I think. Let's confirm it. Let's do the MD5 sum of ab.bin. And that looks like it matches. So now that we have this hash and we have the file sample, chat, what do we do next? Okay, the first thing we're going to do is create the case. And they have a playbook. But since we have the sample, what's the first thing that we should do with it? Dangerous, correct. We would submit it to a place like VirusTotal. So we're gonna go to VirusTotal. And we're gonna search for that hash. All right, that's horrible. Do I get the point? Yeah, absolutely. +1 for... Congratulations. If we were in a classroom, I'd throw you a candy bar or something. It's so funny when you go to school for teaching, they're like, you know, oh, reward-based incentives are really, really bad because they don't, you know, they create extrinsic motivation versus intrinsic motivation. But then, like, you get in a classroom and it's like nobody answers questions, and you're like, I have candy, and then everybody's hands go up. I don't know. Humans are basic. Okay, so we'll go to... So this is evil. So once we have a reasonable belief that this thing is bad, a couple of things that I want to note here, which is that I'm going to open this up actually in a different window or a different tab because the last time I did this, the playbook like reset. But here's the deal. We are SOC analysts in this simulation. We are not malware we're not malware analysts, right? We're not malware researchers. Our job is to protect the environment. Our job is not to investigate to the nth degree everything that's going on with a piece of malware, which means our next steps are different and our motivations are slightly different, right? Our objective is to protect, not understand. We need to understand to a certain degree, but our job is to protect, which means now that we know that there's something definitely shady on this endpoint, we got to go take care of it. So I'm going to go over to endpoint security here. And I got to go get actually First to monitoring, I got to get that IP. Right. So the source hostname is marked PRD, and it's 17.88. So I'm going to go over to my endpoint security. Okay, there it is right there. And I'm going to go request containment on it because this thing has ransomware. Okay. So it's contained, which means at least we're... Bohans, good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. Don't worry about that. Yeah, no, look, everything that I say here, if it's you know, critical, I say it with love because I really like the platform and I want it to be better. But no, don't worry about the thank you for that commentary. The challenge is really solid. But yeah. All right, so is the malware quarantined? Well, it's contained. So yes, quarantined. Yes. So now we have the exe or the bin, and we can throw it at. So we'll check out. We had virus total, right? And we know that it's malicious. It's obviously malicious, and this is where we start to be able to add artifacts here. So we have kinds. Let's see. We have stuff here. Let's actually run this in any run and see if we can get some dope artifacts from there. No. Upload. Off you go. Yes, I agree. It's getting to the point where I should probably investigate paying for pro mode for any run. I use it enough. But it does cost money. Yes. Whoa! That's so cool. I love to see stuff like that. I think it's really neat. Woof! Look at that. That is some USDA choice ransomware right there. Shadow copy delete. Oh boy. So this is interesting. So AB doesn't mess around. It right away goes and begins. Yeah. It right away goes and starts encrypting stuff. Look at that. We're not seeing any. Well, we're not seeing a whole lot of network stuff, right? It just, the grenade just went off. Delete system state backup. Delete all shadows. It removes restore points. All right, cool. So let's see what the text report has for us. So we have the MD5 sum, obviously, which we can add. Now, I like to use the SHA-256 sum, just because it's... Right, but we'll put that in there. And so this is going to be an MD5 hash. We'll call that's the hash of ab.bin. So we'll add that. Let's add another indicator. What are our indicator types? So these are all kind of network indicators, so I can't really add any of the others. If this were a Yara rule, I might be able to add something else. If it were something like a Sigma rule, right, that I was trying to build, I would put in some of the commands that we saw getting executed. If you look at these, right, these WB admins, and in fact, let's go back to the run. These here, the shadow copy deletes, like these are huge tells. And by the way, we actually now have this WMIC and the VSS admin in particular. There should be an onion link in there for crypto. Yeah, why don't I see a ransom note in this report? There we go. So we have a readme.txt. Now we have no reason to believe that that is going to be exactly the same. Dangerous, did you see an onion link somewhere? There should be, yeah. Oh, this is in admin. This is Oracle. So it actually doesn't drop a ransom note. It just fires. Some people just want to watch the world burn. Hey, so Bohans, while I have you, one of the things that, and this may have been fixed, but one of the things that was a little bit frustrating to me the first time I went through this was that when I have a playbook up, I can't navigate on this tab to anywhere else, right, without resetting the state of the playbook. Just something to think about. Like, I can open up another tab and run it there, but it would be handy if the playbook, like what page of the playbook I'm on, were stateful, so I could close it, move back someplace else, and then reopen the playbook without losing my spot. Check if someone requested the C2. We don't have C2 from this sample, right? Let's see what else let's go to log management anyway, though, and see if there was anything else going on from that machine, just in case. So 17.88 was our destination address, this 81169. Yep. I'm going to open up another virus total page for this. Okay. So one vendor flagged this as malicious. When I'm checking IPs, I'll check a bunch of different places. One of my favorites is Cisco Talos. So I'll put the IP in here and see what they have to say about it. Okay, it's in Cologne, Germany. And it has a reputation neutral. This may be a tell, depending. Let's take a look at that communication. All right, that sucks. That's definitely C2. So we'll use this. There's a maldoc as well. Interesting. This may be a different problem with Mark's machine. Oh, it is. Because if we look at our... So this was from... never forget... Oh, thank you. one of the things you always want to not forget. One of the things you always want to remember when you're working a case is time, 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 time. Um, it's so easy to get buried in like the technicals of like all the stuff that's connected on the system, but from an investigation standpoint, your timeline is everything, because if you don't have the ordering correct, you really won't understand the story. And so for right now, like we see this kind of Maldoc thing going on, which is bad news, but it's from August 29th, 2020. Does that correlate with the actual case that we have for this? It does not, right? Because this is from May 23rd, 2021. So presumably that particular issue was already dealt with. So we don't have anything from Mark's IP from May. So I don't think this is a C2 situation. I think we're just dealing with ransomware that fired off. All right, so we contained it. We'll close the alert. It's a true positive, right? And this is where we get to write up our report. So we have so it's been classified as Avedon ransomware. And I think that correlates with what we saw here. I just said ransomware, but okay, so it's Avedon according to some attribution. Avedon ransomware. Endpoint contained. And at this point, you would begin the deeper process, right? You'd get the machine, you'd take a full image of it, you'd see what else was going on. You'd want to see if it was pivoting, if there was network traffic, also to see if there was something malicious going on from there to someplace else. How'd I do? Is it quarantine? I said yes. Yep. There is no C2 address. If you do dynamic analysis, you can see how it is acting, which is exactly what we did. So I don't know. I thought I said yes to it being quarantined, but otherwise, I think we knocked that one out. Good deal. Let's do one more. I would like to do the scheduled task one, because that's a fun persistence vector. Ooh, with Python. Exciting. Sorry, this is all stuff from last night. Hey, Dangerous, thank you so much for, Oh, Orbital, sorry. Thank you for the gift of the sub to Dangerous. Really appreciate it. Alrighty. Let's do this scheduled task situation. By the way, quick pop quiz. What is the Windows event ID for a new scheduled task being created? Anybody? Windows event ID for a new scheduled task being created. 4698. Correct, Gromit. Nice work. And if you don't know about this site, this should be in your bookmarks if you do Windows security. Randy's list of every event. Really, really important if you're reviewing Windows event logs. It gives you exactly what's going to be in it and how to read the error codes, things like that. Absolutely invaluable resource. I use this site almost every day. Alrighty. Let's go check this thing out. So we have Dangerous, you're very welcome. Oh, wow, Bohans, thank you so much for the gift to Gromit. Man, it's just a giving group here. All right. Refocusing. All right, we have ourselves a new scheduled task that was created on 172.1.6.17.36 from Helena. So we're going to go ahead and create the case. I think I might have already done that. So let me open up case management here. No, I didn't. So let me open up the case. But go back over here. And I just want to have the alert here. So, and then go to case management. This one's open. All right. Now, we know that this is a new scheduled task. So let's see if that's from logs, if we're collecting Windows logs. Actually, just kidding. I want that open in a new tab. That's case management, that's log management. Okay, so I want to thank LetsDefend for naming their tabs well. That's a huge pain. I actually wrote my own extension that the Chrome store doesn't let in the Chrome store because of the way that it reads tab permissions, but it's the only way to do it as far as I know. But if you want, you can go get it at github.com/mttaggart/titler. I wrote this extension, and basically what it does is it just allows you to rename right, like if I want to rename Facebook to the worst website, it just hangs out up here and allows you to change the title of tabs. So if I'm working with like a bunch of Splunk tabs, it's really handy to be able to rename tabs on the fly so I can keep track of the search queries that I'm using. So, you know, just load it in developer mode into Chrome or Brave or any other Chromium-based browser and it'll work just fine. All right, so we're looking at 17.36 and we're looking at May 14th. Okay. So we do have some correlated traffic. So this is at 3:22 p.m. and we do have some issues here around that time. 3:20, 3:21, 3:22. We have some 443s and we have some 80s. All right, so we're starting to see some stuff come in. That's interesting. Let's see what this is. github.com/sculpt. What is sculpt? Python that runs in your browser. Oh my God. I remember this. There was a site for a while called, I think, Sculptor. Yeah, Code Sculptor. I used to use this with students, actually, before Better Things came around. But this was like a really, really early... look at that. Yeah, really, really early Python implementation in the browser. Wild. Okay. Totally forgot about that thing. Okay, so they visited Sculpt, and presumably they got the code. What happened next? Okay, they got a sorting algorithm. And then we see... So this is all GitHub, but then they see this we see this other destination address. Let's go ahead and check that out on VirusTotal. All right, so that's problematic. But we saw that there was a scheduled task. Now, this is what we saw in terms of logging from here. So it's all network logging. So let's go to endpoint security and see what we have there. 17.36. How we doing? So we're going to look at the browser history. Bones, thanks for the follow, friend. Well, it looks like they're learning how to write some Python. They go to Sculpt, JDoodle, SciPy. All right, so now we're starting to look at some weird stuff. CodePen.io, CodeForces. This just looks like somebody so far that's trying to learn how to program. Although we did have that malicious connection. At least from 6 talk. So I'm not there yet. We haven't looked at the process list or command history. Let's take a look at that. That may be revealing. Again, let's remember our timing here. We're talking about May 14th at 3:22 p.m. Okay, so right here, scheduled tasks. This is the scheduled tasks run right here. Create the schedule is daily. The task name is daily routine. The task routine is C Windows temp x84 setup.exe. That's weird. Right, and then this run for ipconfig/all. This is like if I got a shell on a system, right, from an agent for command and control, this may be one of the first commands that I run. And this is for, and look at this. These are actually who am I, ipconfig, dir, hostname, net user. These all look a little bit like somebody who's on there. And then you have this python.exe kind of in the middle. This may be unrelated, right? What if we have another user who's using the system? So that's a little bit suspicious. Let's look at the process list here. So we have PowerShell, not surprising. Okay. Chrome. Task host, of course. We don't see that x86-64 setup anywhere. But we do have this. Right, so that's a little bit upsetting. We don't know what that's all about. We do know that there may be some malicious activity. Let's take a look at some of those other network connections. So again, so 322. So we saw, what did we look for before? We saw 92. Let's duplicate this and $140. I think that was GitHub, wasn't it? Wasn't that GitHub? Yeah, that's GitHub, which gets detected by something, but I don't think we have to be too concerned there. But what about this 52? No, nothing there. Now, what we might want to do, something that we haven't seen yet, 142.50. We'll no, we didn't check the 81. Let's try that. Okay, that's clean. What we didn't do is we didn't check out the other Python, the other GitHub repositories that they went to. So this is really messed up right here. The feed burner stuff. I don't know, but I do want to see what this is. Cool. So they went to a torrent site. And then what's this? What is doctor? I don't believe that this is what it says it is. Sorry, endpoint security. Master resources. What do we have in resources? I mean, who knows, right? Sorted algorithm.py that looks malicious. Let's check it out. Oh, at the monitoring page. Oh yeah, we haven't even looked at the file. Duh. I was so focused on network artifacts, I forgot about the actual file we got. It's so rare to have all of this at our. That is actually something I should call out. You know, this is like best case scenario. We have proxy logs, we have endpoint information, we can contain stuff, and we're getting file samples. That actually works. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with like EDRs. It's like not as effective as this. Infected. Okay, let's vim that sorted algorithm. More like sordid algorithm. Rad. Can I get that? Is that still available for me? No. Okay. Well, fair enough. But that's okay. We still have the IOC there. All right. So, we now have enough information. Where's our case management? So, yeah, we're gonna start the playbook. The original threat indicator was what? It was a Windows event, right? It was new scheduled task. So this is the closest, I would say, right? Unknown, or even though it says on system boot, it's not really on system boot, it's just daily. So we're gonna go quarantine this thing. Let me just confirm that it is quarantined, because that burned me last time. Yes. And next up, we're going to do... okay, so let's go back to the playbook. Yes, the malware is quarantined. We did that. It's malicious. So we're going to do the MD5 hash of the Python. That'll be our first indicator. And then we'll do the IP that it's phoning home to, which was this one right here. What was the name of that file it downloaded? x8664 setup.exe. Check if someone requested the C2. Well, we definitely saw that, yes. And then we saw commands getting executed. Yep, we did that. So here we're going to close the alert. We'll say malicious Python. Okay. Well, I'm missing something about how to do quarantining here, plainly. Oh, I think you're right. It hasn't been quarantined. I guess some of that is like, do we know what an endpoint log looks like? Okay. Because, like, I hadn't seen that alert show up. Dangerous 9. Alien Vault is leading it to the IP by Emotet. That is crazy. All right. We've got 2 cases down. I think that's a good day's work, friends. So I think we're going to call it a day. Let me see if there's somebody streaming that I can send you to. Not at the moment, unfortunately. So I'll let you go on your merry way. Friends, thank you so much for hanging out. As a reminder, Hack Summer is coming up, and if you want to continue the conversation, come join us on our Discord. Until then, I will be back on Tuesday doing some red team stuff. Wednesday is programming, and then of course Saturdays are blue teaming. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we'll see you next time.